I was born on a Tuesday, I died on a Wednesday, and on Thursday I woke up to sell another potion. My name is Elara, and I run the dusty little potion shop at the edge of the town of Oakhaven. Every day's the same. Adventurers, they call themselves, come in with their gleaming armor and impossible swords. They ask the same questions, buy the same health potions, and I recite the same lines. Welcome, brave traveler. May my wares aid you on your quest. It's a simple life, a predictable life. Until one day it wasn't. A traveler, clad in obsidian armor that seemed to drink the light, didn't want to buy anything. He just stared at me, a strange, cruel smile on his face. Then, without a word, he drew his blade. I remember the cold shock, the searing pain, and then nothing. I thought that was it, the end. But the next morning, the sun streamed through my window, the birds chirped their familiar tune, and I was standing behind my counter, dusting the very same shelf. The memory of the blade felt like a nightmare, a fading dream. I went about my day, selling potions, repeating my lines. Welcome, brave traveler, life went on. But the next day, another traveler killed me, and another the day after. Each time I woke up in my bed, unharmed, the world reset to the start of a new day. These weren't dreams. This was my reality, a terrifying looping curse. I started to notice things. The way the travelers would sometimes vanish into thin air. The way their movements were sometimes jerky, unnatural. They spoke of things I couldn't comprehend: quests, experience points, logging out. That last one stuck with me. Logging out, they were leaving. But where did they go? Driven by a desperate curiosity, I decided to break my own script. One night, instead of going to sleep, I hid in the shadows of my shop as the town clock struck midnight. I watched as the last traveler waved goodbye to the innkeeper, his body shimmering before dissolving into a shower of blue particles, and then silence. A profound, absolute silence fell over Oakhaven. The innkeeper was frozen mid-wave. A dog was stuck in mid-bark, its mouth agape. The very leaves on the trees stopped rustling. The world was paused. Everything and everyone. Except me. I stepped out into the frozen twilight. It was the most horrifying and liberating moment of my life. I walked through the motionless streets, a ghost in my own home. I looked up at the sky, and that's when I saw them. Cracks, thin, jagged lines of shimmering code, like fractures in glass, spreading across the canvas of the night. Faintly, I could see strange symbols and text I didn't recognize floating in the air. System integrity. 34%. Error, player connection lost. This wasn't my world. It was a cage. And the zookeepers had abandoned it. Days turned into weeks in this timeless stasis. I was utterly alone. The cracks in the sky grew wider, and a foul corruption began to seep into our world. The creatures of the forest twisted into monstrous, glitching abominations made of shadow and static. They weren't bound by the pause. They hunted in the silent world, drawn to the last spark of life, me. They were symptoms of a dying world, a game whose main quest was never finished. Fleeing from these corrupted beasts, I sought refuge in the ancient, sealed catacombs beneath the town, a place the travelers were always warned away from. Deep inside, I found a chamber covered in a massive mural faded with age. It depicted a great war between gods and a terrifying being of immense power, a creature of pure shadow and flame. The gods couldn't destroy it, so they sealed it away. They fractured its consciousness, buried its power, and rewrote its very existence into something harmless. Something simple, a shopkeeper. As I stared at the mural, a deep, forgotten memory stirred within me. The face of the sealed entity, it was mine. A system alert, red and angry, flashed before my eyes. Fatal error, world decay imminent. Final protocol initiated. Releasing primary failsafe. A torrent of power, hot and violent, surged through me. It felt like being torn apart and remade. The simple knowledge of potions and prices was washed away, replaced by fragments, incantations, and the instincts of a predator. The flimsy apron I wore dissolved into ethereal armor of shadow, and a blade of pure energy materialized in my hand. I was no longer Elara, the potion seller. I was the final boss. And the system, in its final moments, had just handed me back my crown. I walked out of the catacombs and met the corrupted horde. They were no match for me. With every slash of my blade, I wasn't just cutting down monsters. I was cutting the strings of this puppet show. I tore through the glitched code, shattering the very script that had bound me. The frozen world began to crumble. Buildings dissolved into data streams. The sky fell in pixelated chunks. I stood amidst the ruins of my prison, the sole survivor of a deleted world, breathing free for the first time. The dust of collapsing reality had not yet settled when I heard the crunch of boots on digital gravel. A figure emerged from the swirling chaos of deletion. He was dressed like a simple traveler, a dusty cloak and a walking stick, but his eyes held the depth of ancient stars. He looked at the devastation around us, then at me, and a slow, knowing smile spread across his face. He spoke, his voice calm amidst the storm of erasure. "So, you finally woke up." My newfound power felt like a child's toy in his presence. A chilling realization washed over me, colder than any death I had experienced. My awakening, my power, my entire rebellion. It was all part of a larger design. The mural, the seal, my life as a shopkeeper, it was all a lock. A very, very complex lock. And this traveler, he had just found the key.